Welcome to day 4 of the Negativity Fast Positivity Feast. We are continuing today to talk about who do you think you are. So this is part 2 of who do you think you are. Have you been contemplating, thinking about what do you really think about who you are? In Proverbs 23:7, it says, as we think in our heart, so are we. So at the core of who we are, what we think about ourselves is what we tend to reflect. You know, Steve Backlund shares a testimony of how God began to speak to him through the scripture in Genesis, where God was talking to Adam when they had sinned, and God came looking for them, and Adam says that he was afraid because he was naked, and so God asked Adam, "Who told you that you were naked?" And so God used that phrase to begin to speak to Steve about some of the lies that he was believing about himself. And then he shared this example, which I can relate to. He said one of them was that I don't have the gift of healing. And so God would say, "Who told you that?" And you know what? I've had that same thought. I have had that same thought. And so, who told you that? Let's say, I'm just not good at that. Well, who told you that you weren't good at that? Well, probably your past experience. Just because, like in Steve's case, he didn't think he had the gift of healing because up until that point in his life, he hadn't seen healing when he had prayed for people. But just because we haven't seen what God says we are be manifest yet doesn't mean that we can't do it or that it's not who we are. Our continual agreement with our past experience actually creates strongholds that block us from God's purposes in our lives. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be blocked from anything that God has for me. So if I had continued to believe I wasn't creative, you know, we talked yesterday, I shared quite a bit about that there was a time in my life when I didn't think I was creative. If I had continued to believe that lie, then I would not be selling my greeting cards that I make today. In fact, it actually took me a long time to get to the point where I would do that. But I did. So that just goes to show that I actually was able to let go of that lie, change the way I think, began believing what God really said, and following through with it. If I had continued to believe the lie that I didn't have something important to say, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So this creation of our identities from our past causes us to have wrong beliefs, and it limits our life experiences. Do you see that? So what we believe about ourselves, if we're believing lies, we actually limit ourselves and restrict ourselves by believing or buying into those lies. Consider your thoughts, your beliefs about who you really are, and challenge them with that question like God challenged Steve. Allow God to challenge you with that question. Who told you that? In fact, some of you that know me really well know that I have actually challenged you with that question myself because it was so impactful to me what Steve had shared. Okay, today's lie that we're fasting today. I will never know who I am in God. If you believe that, I'm here to tell you that's a lie. The truth that we're feasting on today is I know who I am, and my identity determines my experience, not the other way around. I know who I am, and my identity determines my experience. Okay, the application for today. You know, in Genesis 17:5, God gave Abraham a new name and a new identity to reflect the promise that God had given him. If God were to give you a new name to reflect the promises that he's given to you, what would it be? And then, if you know what that is, does it sound a little crazy? Maybe even laughable? If that's the case, then you're probably on the right track. How about you tell someone today, tell someone else your new name and embrace your true identity. And I'd even encourage you that if you know what that is, or you believe that God has spoken to you about what your new name is or your true identity is, and you want to share it, feel free to post that in the comments. One of the things that this one does sound laughable to me. What I believe is that there is a scripture in John that talks about where Jesus says, I no longer call you slaves, but I'll call you friends. And in the Passion, it says something to the effect of being his most intimate friends. And so I created this declaration that says, I am God's most intimate friend. He confides in me and shares his secrets with me. Now, I've been saying this declaration for some time, and it does seem very laughable. But Scripture says we are God's friend. He no longer calls us slaves. We are children of him. We are sons and daughters of the Most High God. And he is a very good and loving Father. So, I encourage you to be asking the Lord what name he wants to call you by. What identity do you need to really embrace and own and take hold of and believe that's who God calls you to be? I bless you with eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to know the truth. And I will see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.